Well, hello. It's been a while since I've done anything as far as video is concerned. I thought I'd do a quick encouragement for you today. It's just something new I've been thinking about doing called Take Time Out. Just a 5-minute time out where we can get into the Word and look at a verse, get an encouragement, and get back into the game, and that is of our busy weeks. But hope and trust you're doing well. And there's something I was recently reading and studying about that encouraged me so much that I had to write it down and I wanted to share it with you. It's called the Lulav. And this word comes from a biblical command to worship God on the Feast of Tabernacles with branches. If you read Leviticus chapter 23, it lists for you all 7 of the festivals, the feasts that the Israelites had to observe to remember what God has done for them in their calendar year. And there in the fall was the last one called the Feast of Tabernacles. It was a fall festival of remembrance. But in Leviticus 23 verse 40, let me read this to you. It says, "And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of beautiful trees, branches of palm trees, the boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days." During the feast, the people of Israel would remember how God led them through the wilderness through the waving of these branches. The lulav was a fruit and a cluster of 3 branches according to the verse I just read to you. The first is that of the palm branch. That's the largest. Palm trees, they grow in the valleys. Note that, they grow in the valleys. It reminded Israel of their journeys to the valleys that God was with them. The second branch was that of the myrtle branch, the boughs of leafy trees. The myrtle tree grows in the mountains. It reminded them of their journeys through mountains, that God was with them there in mountains as well. And the willow branch, the willows of the brook, that tree grows by the water brooks. It reminded Israel of their journeys through dry places, that God was with them to give them water in the desert. Now remember this feast. It was designed by God in order to remind them of where He had brought them from Egypt to the Promised Land. Here's the teaching and the encouragement for us to tie it all together for way of devotion. First of all, the wilderness. They were reminded of walking through the wilderness to the Promised Land. The wilderness is this world. It's hot, it's extreme, it can be challenging at times. There are dry moments, there are moments where you just want to give up. Your living in this world is very hard due to the sin nature, the curse in this world increasing worse and worse. We must understand, just like the wilderness, it does get harder. But the journey through, journey is that of life. It's a metaphor. Our life is a journey, a course from one place to another. In this journey, as we are journeying from the time we were saved to the Promised Land, in this journey there are mountaintops and there are valleys, good times and bad times, circumstances out of our control. If you know the Lord as your Savior, the journey is to another land because we are citizens of another country bought by the blood of Christ. Now the palm branch, when you're waving the branches, the palm branch, no matter what valley you go through in your life, remember the palm branch, palm trees grow in the valley, no matter what valley you go through or going through right now, no matter how deep or how dark that valley is, you'll never be alone. It's a reminder that God is with you. Then the myrtle branch, when you go through the rockiest of times, because the mountains there in the wilderness were very rocky, had a lot of rocks, God will go through it with you and will keep you from falling. Then you have the willow branch. In the dry and empty places in life, He will never leave you, but will keep you close and even give you rivers and water in the desert. But the fruit, because they wave the branches, talk about the mountains, the valleys, and the dry and empty places, but also there's the fruit. That was representative of the Promised Land, because no matter what you go through in life, it's not the end, only the journey to your destination. And when you get there, you will give thanks that your journey was blessed, that you were never alone, and that He was with you every moment, making sure you made it to the Promised Land. And this is probably one of the reasons, according to Ezekiel 45:25, we will observe this feast one day in the millennial kingdom and reign of Christ to remember how far He's brought us from the land of sin and bondage to the Promised Land. So here's the challenge today. Remember and give thanks in all your valleys, that in all your valleys, all your mountains, all your deserts, that He was there and He will always be, because He promised us, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Hebrews 13:5. Hey, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.